You're listening to the Back Home Network, presented by Homefield Apparel.
And welcome, Hoosier fans, to this week's edition of Assembly Call Radio, where each week we discuss the most important topics in the world of Indiana basketball. This is our 234th edition of Assembly Call Radio, and it is our 741st episode overall of the Assembly Call, recorded on the evening of November 4th, 2021. And I am host, Coach Brian Tonsoni. And let's begin this edition of the Assembly Call, how we begin every edition of the Assembly Call, with a proud banner moment.
And Indiana is the national champion.
When it comes down, Indiana will be champion.
Smart takes a shot.
Hoosiers have won the national championship.
This week's banner moment occurred last Saturday when the Indiana Hoosiers defeated Belmont in a secret scrimmage. The final score was 76-67, and IU led by as many as 17 points late in the game. Belmont is a quality mid-major program. That was an at-large tourney team a couple years ago. They run good stuff and are currently predicted to be a team from the mid-major area who can win a game or two in the tourney, and that would be as an underdog. So this was a great test for the Hoosiers. Reports say that there were some great play on Saturday individually and collectively, but also there were some areas of concern where Coach Woodson and his staff are obviously going up before tip-off on Tuesday. This secret scrimmage was a good test for Indiana, and with 5 days left till the season begins for real, I think the Indiana Hoosiers will be ready to go. The results on Tuesday, they won't be so secret. They'll be in plain sight for everyone to see, and I believe that this Hoosier team will make all of us Hoosier fans happy, especially when we see how different they play on both offense and defense. So let's get the season started. Okay, let me introduce my esteemed co-hosts for tonight. Jared will be here for segment 2, along with a couple of special guests. But first up,
the best of youth sports coaching, you know that we got 'em. When it comes to analytic trends, you know he can spot 'em. For first-class bracketology, if you want the top, you gotta go bottoms. If you want the top, you gotta go bottom. If you top, you gotta go bottom. If you want the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Dusty Baker of Girls Youth Sports Coaching in Cincinnati, it's Andy Bottoms. Andy, your preseason bracketology began rolling out this week over at Inside the Hall. Where did the Hoosiers end up, and how are you feeling heading into the season on Tuesday?
Yeah, well, the IU was in the group today. I've been rolling them out 4 seed lines at a time, so they were on the 8 line for me, close to a 7, but in the 8 line. So I guess that's a good thing. I think we'd all be fairly happy with that at this point. So had them in there, and overall a good week. We're not too far away from IU basketball. We were talking before we went on that my daughter's 5th grade team, we had 3 practices this week, so we're back at it as well. So basketball season is officially here, and we are all excited for it for sure.
Well, that is always interesting time when we send out those bracketology things, and glad that we start seeing some games. But now making his triumphant return to the show,
all the other voices get out of the way, cause Ryan's got 100,000 things to say. The shock doctor's gonna go off on Coach Care, how the Big Ten refs screw up every day. He's a senior writer for the Big League. His Majesty's words are the elixir we need. The only problem is he won't concede the mic to other voices even if they agree. Analyzing players, finding every wrinkle. He hasn't ever hosted, never lifted a finger. He's got all the
Well, let me quickly add just one thing about this.
Dude just interrupted his own jingle.
we needed to go full music intro to welcome you back. A lot has happened in your absence. What are you thinking as the season is just around the corner, Ryan?
I think it was great that they had a scrimmage. Obviously, the pickup of Ja'Kai Newton, and I will discuss him next week. I didn't have time this week to put together a full scouting report. I did watch some film on him. Was very impressed with what I saw in certain aspects. Obviously, he's got some stuff to work on. Not a perfect player, but certainly a ton of upside there. I think it was great. The scrimmage, all the scrimmage reports seemed very positive. I mean, there was some choppiness there and some things that need to be sorted out, and we'll talk about that. But positive that they got on the floor and played some people. What I want to talk about, actually, though, is something that will really benefit the players, and that's Saturday, the Hoosier Basketball Fan Fest that our friends, the Hoosier Hysterics and the Mark Cuban Foundation, are putting on. I think that is a great idea. The money, the proceeds going to benefit the players with this NIL stuff. I think it's fantastic. If anybody's in Bloomington, don't have anything to do on a Saturday, go support the players. That's what I can say. You're allowed to do that now. So, spend the $5 and go. Spend the $40 if you want to, or $49 and go sit close to the floor, whatever. I think it's an awesome event that Hysterics are putting on, and in conjunction with the Mark Cuban Foundation. And hey, you know what? If you didn't happen to be there in person when Coach Knight came back, as we were lucky enough to have happen in 2019 or 2020. I'm sorry. It's hard to know when was what, isn't it, guys? It's just been so long. But if you weren't there in 2020 when he came back, Coach Knight, they announced, will be there too. So to see Coach Knight back at Assembly Hall would be something to spot and to see and so I would say, yeah, just go support the players. I think it's a great thing. If I was in Bloomington, I'd be doing the same thing. So I would encourage everybody to go and check that out.
All right, all that. Here's what we're going to cover this week. First of all, I apologize if my internet's choppy. I had it serviced today, and they tried to triple the speed, but I guess it might not be working. We'll try to keep firing through, and during break, I'll try to reset some settings and everything. But we have some Hoosier headlines here in segment 1. We're going to talk a little bit about the scrimmage, and in segment 2 and 3, we'll do a season preview. We'll talk about our big questions that we have for the program and our bold predictions. All of that coming up this week on Assembly Call Radio. This edition of Assembly Call Radio is presented by our friends at Home Field Apparel. And in case you missed it, they just did a brand refresh that includes 3 fantastic new designs. A shirt commemorating Key Smart's shot to win the 1987 National Championship, a new bison design from 1965, and an alternate version of the oval sandwiched between the words "Never Daunted." Each new design deserves your attention and your dollars, and first-time customers can get 15% off with our promo code HOME. Yes, it's a different promo code now. HOME will get your 15% off at checkout at Home Field Apparel. Wear one for the team.
Did you just order another shirt from Home Field Apparel?
No, Sony, I did not order. I just said the ad for Home Field Apparel, but I will be ordering some shirts real soon. Also, the season's right around the corner. Now would be a great time to join our private IU basketball discussion community at assemblycall.com/community. Here's what you'll get: a daily curated IU basketball discussion from the host you know and trust, our Coach's Corner videos, and Jared's statistical deep dives, which we don't post anywhere else. Regular virtual happy hours to gather with community members on Zoom and talk IU sports. Plus, you can upgrade to add Tony Adranya's IU Film Room content, which is an amazing resource filled with advanced video breakdowns. And new this year, we added a private Discord channel for live game day chatting. That will be a fun way to interact throughout the year. We want it to be the premier place online for IU fans to gather online and share their Hoosier passion. So check it out and join us at assemblycall.com/community. That's assemblycall.com/community. All right, fellas, I'll send it over to you for some scrimmage takeaways. You try to piece together some information from people who were there and tweets that you've seen and any clips or pictures that you might see, because it was a secret scrimmage, but yet we feel that we have some pretty decent information from it. Andy, your thoughts initially on what you've heard from the secret scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, TJD is the guy who heard a lot of good things about in terms of how he played in the game, which I know a lot of people will be apt to dismiss Belmont a little bit, but
Wait, really? Trace Jackson Davis played well, Andy?
yeah, he played well. But I think a lot of people see like Belmont and don't really realize how good they should be this year, and they also have a good big guy in Nick Muszynski. Again, mobility was likely a challenge for him against Trace Jackson Davis, but he is a guy that Belmont runs a lot of stuff through, and so Belmont is going to be one of the better mid-major teams this season. So I guess I would caution people to totally dismiss and say, hey, this is just Belmont. But yeah, everything I heard that he was fantastic, particularly in the first half. I know we were talking a little bit before the show. It sounded like Ryan had talked to somebody who was there and had a little bit of scoop on a couple other guys who stood out. So I'll let you share that.
Yeah, I talked to somebody who was there, and I talked to a few people who were managed to, I think surreptitiously get their hand on some film. And the guy who was there, and he said something very interesting. He said he was in the Bahamas and he watched Parker Stewart play and thought, why did we spend so much effort going after this guy? I don't get it. He looks like a smaller college player who is stepping up and just can't fit in. He watched Parker Stewart in Louisville at the secret scrimmage and thought, oh, I get it. I get it now. This is right. He's starting and he belongs to be starting on this team. And I see exactly the piece that he is and how he fits with the rest of the pieces and why this was a necessary thing to do. And so I think Parker Stewart impressed a lot of people with the way he played. And obviously he had been impressing the coaches because he started in the Bahamas and played a lot, but he didn't play well. And so, it could be any reason for that. Guy didn't shoot well, and it could be the arena. It could be, the first game action he's had in a long time, whatever. But he looked apparently very smooth, very comfortable, and very confident, hit some shots, and just looked like an integral piece of the offense against Louisville. I would also say the guy that I heard from several people who really raised eyebrows was Jordan Geronimo. And obviously, Trace is going to be the guy who does the best, and you're going to get Race Thompson. You're going to get, whatever. You're going to have like the normal guys, but the people who stand out are the ones who you're not maybe not expecting to do what they did. Jordan Geronimo hit a couple threes, was athletic, was guarding out on the floor. That was the thing that people were most impressed with was defensively. He was able to step out with, guards and defend apparently. And with his length and his size, the ability to do that and have quickness and be able to recover was apparently very impressive. And the fact that he knocked down some shots, it was something they've been working on with him all offseason, and he's starting to get it apparently. And then the third guy that people talked about was the guy who was my source who was there said Rob Finney is playing as confident right now as he's seen him since high school. Like, he has not seen him this confident in his game since high school. And so that's great news if you're Indiana. And Rob came off the bench, from what I understand, and was very, very good in his time on both sides of the floor and played very confident offensively, something that Indiana fans have been wanting to see for a long time, and they saw it this time.
Yeah, I think Geronimo showed in spurts last year the potential to really be a great energy guy off the bench. And there were times it felt like he needed a little bit more of that. And I think we questioned whether Archie Miller should have turned to him a little bit more just to infuse some life into a team that often had very little, unfortunately. And so, yeah, I heard similar things about him just in terms of, really bringing the energy off the bench. So I think that's a great role for him as a sophomore, and then be able to build into something more over the rest of his career, and just give that kind of spark off of there. And then Rob, as you said, also came off the bench and played well. So yeah, that lines up pretty well with the things that I heard, at least in terms of the guys that really stood out.
The pace of play is another thing that we're hearing is what we want it to be, with dribble out rebounds and people just pushing the ball up the floor and to score 77 points. Again, the Belmont is a solid team, and to hold Belmont to 66 when they run really good stuff, including backdoors, shoot a lot of threes. So again, I think the style of play is what I take away. They're aggressive defensively with some switching and closing out. So, I think the scrimmage was a pretty solid indicator that this team is going to play differently, at least, and hopefully differently. It plays better.
One more thing, Coach. They hit all 11 of their free throws. I mean, that's huge. Like, this team needs to be able to shoot free throws well, and Trace apparently shot a lot of them. There was no box score available, but this is just what we hear. And I think that the ability to shoot free throws for this team is going to be huge because they've got two bigger guys that are probably going to be starting. They've got some wing guys who can drive a little bit. Xavier Johnson, the thing I keep hearing about him is just how aggressive he is attacking the rim. Not a shooter, just not flat out not a shooter, but he's incredibly aggressive attacking the rim. And if he's aggressive attacking the rim, he's either one of two things are going to happen. That's going to lead to guys shading off of Trace Jackson Davis to stop the drive, and it'll leave Trace open. Or two, he'll be one-on-one, beat his guy, and get fouled. So the ability to step to the line and make free throws is going to be enormous for this team. It's enormous every year with every team, but you just figure with Trace, he's going to get fouled a lot. With Johnson driving, he's going to get fouled a lot. And so they've got to be able to knock down free throws. And then you've got guys like Stewart, Miller Kopp, guys like that who need to be able to obviously step to the line and hit their free throws as well. And you feel like they can because they've done it before. One more note, a lot of people were saying that Miller Kopp looked really rusty. And that makes sense because he's been off the floor and injured and hasn't really been back that long. But from what I was understanding, he rimmed out a lot of open shots. But he was taking the right shots, and nobody's worried about it. They feel like he'll sort of ease his way into making those, but just he took a decent number of shots and really was just not seeing them fall.
Yeah, good stuff from the scrimmage. It's why you play them, get stuff on film, and move forward as a program. As Ryan said earlier, the Fan Fest is tomorrow night. If you want to go out and see the Hoosiers, it's just Saturday. A good thing overall. Or Saturday. Sorry, I'm already on the weekend. And then Coach Adranya just put some really solid content in our basketball community, a year-long scouting report or a preview of the Indiana Hoosiers, and also a scouting report on Game 1 for Tuesday night. So, again, another reason to join the community. If you're in the community, go look at that. That's some really solid stuff. Jared Morris has joined us. Jared, hello for the evening, and we're getting closer to actual basketball. How are you doing this evening?
Yep. I'm doing great. By the way, my appearance tonight is sponsored by Delphi Bracketology. I just want everybody to see that.
That shirt just got out of the wash for me, so it'll be
got
next
my
week.
T-shirt. I won't wear black and gold for much, but if it's to support Coach, then I will wear
You're looking sharp tonight.
Thank you. Yes, I'm excited. Valerie says, didn't Jared wash his hair? The answer to that is no, and that's why I am wearing this hat right now. So
I didn't either.
Yeah, well, that's true. Did you guys talk about Michael Durr yet? I got here.
No,
late.
We did not.
We did not.
So that, obviously a lot of exciting stuff that we've heard coming out of the scrimmage. That continues to kind of be the concern. I know I saw a couple people in chat. Yeah, and he wasn't expected to play in the scrimmage. No. But man, we've talked about this a lot. I don't think he's a guy that you're going to rely on for big minutes, but he's a guy that once you get into Big Ten play with all those big guys, you're going to need him.
Yeah.
And I really feel like
necessary.
I think he's the difference between 1 or 2, maybe 3 wins in Big Ten play. I really do. Him being healthy. Just thinking back to, the impact that Joey Brunk's injury last year made. So hoping that he can get back and get ready, because I think we're really going to need his depth, his experience down low. And so it stinks that we haven't gotten to see him, but hopefully taking it slow with him will pay dividends and he'll be able to get back out there because going to need him.
The other thing, Tamar Bates sat out too, hopefully for just a minor injury in the scrimmage. That I don't think we shared. So,
well, we'll ask him tomorrow.
Thoughts?
Recording a new inside scoop with him tomorrow. So be looking for that in the feed.
Excellent. Any other thoughts about the preseason scrimmage or the Fan Fest going forward before we bring on some more guests in segment number 2?
FanFest sounds like it'll be awesome. So anybody who's in town, go. I know a lot of people from our community are going to be going. I saw Valerie's got courtside seats. So by the way, if you're in the community, I started a thread. It would be awesome to get all the Assembly Call folks who were there together for like a group picture or something, or even if just a few of you get together, like let us know. That'd be great stuff to see in the community, to see all you guys together. If I didn't live 1,000 miles away, I would try to be there.
It's the exact
myself.
event I would love to go to. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it looks like
it's going to
send us your reports.
That's right.
Send us what you see and what you notice. So, okay, coming up on Assembly Call Radio, we have a special announcement, and then it's our final preseason discussion of the offseason, featuring our biggest questions and boldest predictions as we head into Mike Woodson's first season. Stick with us here on the Assembly Call.
Is everybody's audio choppy, or is it just Coach's?
It's Coach. Yeah.
Okay.
He said he got his internet fixed today and
upgraded today, and he's gonna
might have to shut everything off. Have you tried?
He's gonna take the social media and just destroy them.
I don't know. Maybe I just need to unplug the microphone too. So,
how you doing, Jared?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing? It's great to have you back and see your face. We've missed you around here.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good.
Going through some things, but I'll be just fine.
Padres are going to be okay, man. Nice long off season. They got time. They got a new manager. Things are going to be
Bob
fine.
Melvin, man. I couldn't believe they stole him from the A's. That was unbelievable. Oh, hey.
Whoa. What is going on here? How many people do we have for this show? Good grief.
I feel like we're on Hollywood's, like, Indiana podcast version of Hollywood Squares.
3 more. And
Galen is center square.
That put Galen in the center square, which is probably a good decision.
I get the Shadow Stevens role.
Spot.
I want to be Jim. I want to be JJ Bullock.
God. Jared's like Bob Newhart or something up there.
Okay. All right, I'll take
I
that.
just think
How's
you look
everybody?
cold.
How excited are you guys to have some basketball to talk about?
Oh my God, man! Our next, like somebody said, our next show is a post-game show, and I almost got chills. I was like,
"No, you guys know we've been talking football for 2.5 months.
Yeah,
you guys are still talking off season, so like we need it way more than you do."
Yeah, we dabbled in a few segments, and that was plenty.
Andy, have you ever marched through Siberia?
No, but we did do shows during the Archie Miller era, so
God. It's a constant, never-ending kick in the testicles. Yes. It's funny. I mean, Scott and I started doing Crimson Cast Crean's first year. And you want to talk about not having anything to talk about for
Galen. Galen, I flew to Maui to watch the first team play.
I mean, at least you're in Maui. I mean,
true. That was what we kept saying to us. They almost lost to Chaminade. Like it was, oh man, that was rough.
But at least they were building towards something.
Yeah, at least there was some hope on the horizon.
It took a little while, but they did build towards something.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be here, guys. Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
It's good to have you.
My favorite quote from my buddy who went to the scrimmage was, "Thank God it's not Archie's team." Like it was like that was what he said, because this is at least an entertaining brand of basketball, regardless of what happens. They're playing up tempo. He said the defense is leaky at times, but he thinks they'll get better as they get used to playing with each other. But it's like aggressive, and like they're actually trying to attack ball handlers instead of staying off of them and letting them shoot threes over them.
I love seeing us pick up full court on the lead ball handler. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan Madden says, "Is I flew to Maui supposed to be a hardship?" Yes.
I mean, it's not cheap. I went all the way out there to watch them watch walk-ons play. It was a poor life decision, but
yeah. I went to Iowa this year, so
yeah, that was a poor decision. I dated a girl who lived in Iowa once. Just poor decisions all around, man.
You had more fun in Iowa than I did this year.
That's very true. I probably did. Yeah.
Oh wait, I know who you're talking about.
You do, my friend Jared.
That's right. Okay.
Somebody
that
actually
note.
asked me years after she's a very nice person. Somebody asked me, so how's she doing these days? I'm like, well, she's still in Iowa. So, I mean, I don't know.
Kathy, no offense. No offense, Kathy.
No. Yeah. Sorry, Kathy.
But let's know your audience, Ryan. Come on.
I am a little concerned that Kathy went, I mean, not that there have been a lot of great IU games to go to, but chiming in with I went to Iowa, Cincy, and Ohio State. Not really the trifecta that you're
really hitting for the cycle this year.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go to Penn State. Just go for it.
Yeah, I was
all.
going to say, might as well head up to Michigan this weekend and just
really.
make a year of it.
All right. Well, gentlemen, are we ready to make a fun little announcement here in the next segment?
I believe so.
Yes.
Except Coach is currently crafting a sternly worded letter to his internet provider about the services that were rendered today.
Smithville Internet.
I had to stay home for 5 hours while the dude worked on drilling stuff and putting a new line in, and then I'm choppy.
You actually sound better right now. So
yeah,
I'm not very happy right now. You're going to get.
We need a live stream of coach on with customer service.
Get the beat button ready because
that should just be its own podcast, really.
Just Coach being angry at the cable
Coach,
guy.
Yeah, on different customer
Coach
service.
railing against his internet provider. I like it.
Yes.
And then Adrania doing a film room on what he could have done better. Like, right here, you should have gone with option 0 instead of option 1 on the phone pad.
The problem here is he was still using copper cable as opposed to fiber. If you're routed this direction,
You're all very funny.
Yeah, you're never going to get to talk to somebody if you choose option 1. Everybody knows that's not the way to go.
HughesNet.
I'm going to consider just about anything here in about 2 seconds.
What's very funny is you're not choppy right now, so maybe you just need to be angry. It's
be here between 8 to 12, and then they show up at 10:30, and then they stay till 1.
Yeah.
Somehow I skipped 5th period. I don't know what happened to my 5th period students today. They went somewhere. I don't know. Don't care either. So, Jared, how do you want to do this?
Let them out into the yard and let nature take its course.
Just open it up. You can kick it to me. I'll kind of introduce it, and then we can all just chime in with some thoughts.
Sounds good.
Keep it. Yeah.
All righty. Here we go.
What's going on? It's Christian Wofford. What's the only thing better than an epic buzzer beater? Celebrating it with friends afterwards. Join my guys, Jared, Andy, Ryan, and Coach on the assembly call after every IU game. Go Hoosiers.
Welcome back to the assembly call. And how do you keep up with the fire hose of information that comes out almost every day about IU basketball? It's crazy during the off season, and it's about to get even crazier here starting on Tuesday, but we've got your back. We send out a free weekly email newsletter on Sunday mornings. It rounds up the most important and interesting IU basketball stories from the previous week to keep you up to date on your Hoosiers. Over 8,000 of your fellow IU fans are on the list, and we want you to be on there too. So go to join.assemblycall.com to subscribe for free right now. That's join.assemblycall.com. You can also text IU to 66866. That's IU to 66866. Okay, I'm the coach, Brian Tonsoni, here with the plethora of incredible minds about to share some basketball knowledge. That was the word of the day in the library for today. Quite impressive, I believe. But we're going to send it over to Jared Morris for an announcement.
Yeah, look at this. We got 6 of us. We were joking that we're close to having a game of, Hoosier Wood Squares here. If we just had a few more people, and who knows, maybe in the future, this gathering of old school Indiana basketball podcasters will have more people. But I'm really excited tonight to make an announcement. This is something that we've been kind of teasing at different points this offseason. We've certainly been talking about it a lot and had kind of hoped to have some things ironed out maybe earlier in the offseason. But, as happens sometimes, things take a little bit longer. And so we're, right here a couple days before the season. ready to do it. But that is our friends from Crimson Cast are here, the OG Indiana sports podcasters. I mean, truly the godfathers of Indiana sports podcasting, Scott and Galen. And we're really excited tonight because, instead of just being fellow podcasters, we are now kind of coming together to form a network. And don't worry, our individual shows are going to stay the same. Assembly Call will stay the same with, our hosts, and Crimson Cast is going to stay the same. But we're coming together under one umbrella for a few different reasons. But it all boils down to it's going to benefit us. And most importantly, we think it's going to benefit you guys as the audience members. Because for any type of partnership like this to work, the people who are in the partnership, it has to complement each other. And so, we kind of looked at this, and obviously we have focused a lot on basketball, and all of us are, remote. And, Galen and Scott obviously do a lot of basketball, but they do football too, and also have a presence in Bloomington. And so we're really hoping that by, kind of coming together, working closer together, there's some logistics things, we'll be able to share expenses. We'll be able to sell ads together and do some stuff on the back end that you'll never know about, but it benefits us. But most importantly for you guys, I think it's going to allow our two shows to provide a better experience. We have a private discussion community that is focused a lot on basketball. With Scott and Galen getting in there more, we'll be able to have more football discussion in there. We do a lot of live events on Zoom. Galen and Scott are able to host live events in person, and we want to be able to partner with them to do more of that stuff together. And obviously continue to fill in on each other's shows and see where it goes from there. So tonight we're, announcing the launch of what we're calling the Back Home Network. So you'll start to hear at the beginning of every show, kudos to Bob Thompson for getting us the little musical intro with those very recognizable notes from the song Back Home Again in Indiana. And it's really, our whole idea behind naming it that was obviously the song, which is recognizable, but also the fact that we hope that our shows give folks the feeling of being back home. Because, we both have global audiences, people all over the place from, Bloomington to, the farthest reaches of the globe. And when you listen to our show, we want you to feel like you're back home. And it's interesting. We actually got a random email from a listener who had no idea that we were doing, this network, and basically said, like, I love listening to you guys. It makes me feel like I'm back home. And, I forwarded that to everybody. And it's like, that's what we're going for. So I'm really excited. There's a lot that is going to happen in the future. This is kind of a soft launch. Like, we don't even have our logo done yet, although John Ringer, who redesigned our Assembly Call logo, which we'll be showing you guys, he's putting together something for the Back Home Network. And so you'll see all of that. But we just kind of wanted to announce that so that as you see that stuff start to happen, you'll kind of know what's going on. But that said, let's get some thoughts from Galen and Scott. And on behalf of all our guys, we're just really excited that this is happening. We've looked up to you guys, respected you guys, enjoyed working with you guys, and I'm really excited for what we can do now, working together more formally.
Well, thanks, Jared, and thanks to Ryan and Andy and Coach and everybody involved with things. I mean, we're thrilled about this as well. I think these podcasts and more than that, just all of the things that go around the podcast, the community really belong together. And, we've been giving our various commentaries separately or on each other's shows for quite a while now. And I'm really thrilled because I think IU fans deserve a place where they can go and feel good about being IU fans. And whether that's basketball or football, or any of the other sports that we'll jump in and talk about on occasion. I think the idea of having places where you can go and hear honest commentary, we're not really big into sugarcoating things, as anybody who's listened over the years know, but we're also trying to be fair. And, we've tried to build an attitude and a reality around this thing where we can connect with people who, whether they're here in Bloomington like I am, or all across the country or all across the world, have a touchstone, have a point online where they can go and hear about IU, talk about IU sports, and feel like they're part of something bigger. And so Jared had a great idea over the summer that we talked about regarding the Back Home Network, and there's some cool aspects to it that I know he'll get into. But I know, Scott and I started the podcast thing back in 2007 on a long forgotten blog where we were, I think, just talking NFL stuff. And at one point, Scott was like, hey, we should start an IU podcast. Nobody else is doing it. And gosh, who would have expected that we would be at the point that we're at right now? So, Scott, I don't know if you have anything you wanted to say, but I'm just thrilled and I'm really excited to be involved in this and to be involved in this partnership with you guys.
Yeah, with all the OG old stuff, I should be like, "What'd you say, Sonny? Like, what'd you say?" My speech to text isn't working. No, I echo everything Galen said. I've mentioned this a couple different times. I think here's a perfect time to mention it. When Galen and I started this in 07, 08, the initial thought was we wanted to do a virtual call-in show after basketball games. It's kind of one of the real ideas we had. We just didn't have the
idea.
Yeah.
Terrible idea to take calls.
We didn't have the technology to do it. We also didn't have the ability to kind of do things on a regular basis, as Crimson Cast fans know well. So, once you guys started, it was like, that's exactly what this fan base needs. I'm so happy. I mean, and as Galen said, I think it's kind of a great synergy that we provide kind of different coins and different ways of looking at IU basketball, but we all look at it, in the end with love for IU basketball. We all want to be in a space. We want to, I think having this community is just fantastic. And so, yeah, I mean, big thanks to Jared for kind of pulling this all together. And I will say, I just kind of finished putting together a podcast that Jared and I did, and I put the little music intro before, and it sounds awesome. Like, it's great. I love the Back Home Again stuff. It's fantastic. So I love the fact that we're kind of bringing this all together. And then, fans of Assembly Call, get ready for 3.5 hour podcast. We're bringing Crimson Cast alive. We're going 3.5 hours, and let's go.
The unabridged podcast is certainly like that's where we're headed at this point. Yes.
Yeah. So just to be clear on something, because Kathy has a good question. So will the podcast be combined? So no. The podcasts are staying individual, right? The Assembly Call is its own thing. The post-game show is Assembly Call Radio. That's going to be its own thing, but it'll just be a little bit easier for Galen or Scott to fill in, as they've already done. Crimson Cast will be its own thing. The individual brands, the individual shows are staying the same. It's just going to allow us to work closer together, and the community is coming together. So, it'll be the same place, assemblycall.com/community. That URL may change. Names and logos may change, but the place where you go and the stuff that we do in there will stay the same. It'll just get better, and we'll expand and do more stuff. We've already had conversations about, one of the things we want to do with this network is add new shows as we move forward. So that's going to be, one of the things that we're going to be, working together to do. And we'll be able to, kind of layer our different expertises and experiences and contacts to be able to do that. We're in the next couple weeks, you'll see we'll be announcing that we're going to be launching our own community coin. And so I won't get into all the details now, but that's something to be on the lookout for. And we'll give you all the details there. And we also should mention that we, of course, have a presenting sponsor for the network, which is Home Field Apparel, and their support in being able to, obviously, their financial support is huge, and just their backing and confidence in what we're doing. I mean, I think, Galen, we had a call with Connor, and he was essentially like, yes, just yes, like whatever you guys are planning, I want to be a part of it. And having that support from them is awesome. But, if you like one of our shows and don't like the other one, you'll be able to continue to listen to that one show and it won't change. All those things will stay the same. We want to keep our unique perspectives, our unique brands, all of that stuff. But where it makes sense to come together and work together, we'll be able to do that in a more formal way.
Yeah. One thing, Jared, that got me excited about this was the prospect of live shows for people who go to games. Like, come over to wherever we're at, and we'll just be hanging out, maybe do a show or something. And obviously we're not all in Bloomington, but the prospect of maybe doing some more regular stuff with that, because we always have the meetup once a year, and it's great to interact with people, but the ability to maybe do something after a game that's sponsored under this umbrella, with maybe we're not all there, but somebody's there, and you can meet there and do this and have an event is pretty great. And I think that's because connecting with the fans is my favorite part.
Jen wants to know, can we get a Scott and Ryan podcast hour? Now, do you want that moderated or unmoderated?
Yeah, unmoderated would be dangerous. Yeah,
we did that. You and I did a podcast. It was the co-pilots only, no pilots. Yeah, let's go.
And you know what? I thought it was great. So
yeah,
there. See, okay, and there's a conversation in the chat. I think I saw Jeff and Kathy They just started talking about, potentially doing a post-game show for the women's team. We want our network to be able to help launch something like that, if that's something that community members want to do. I am so excited about what we've been able to do with the Grace Berger show and having Coach Marlowe, get the opportunity to host that, and he's doing an amazing job. We really view this as a real community, and when there are opportunities to, for community members who have been around and, get excited about that kind of stuff, we want to be able to do more of that stuff, and working together, we'll be able to do that even more. So, again, it's kind of a soft launch. There's still a lot of details to come. Like in the immediate, you won't really notice any difference except for the little musical tone at the beginning. But we've got a lot of things that are planned, and we wanted to let you know that it's coming, because obviously once the season starts, things start kind of happening fast, and we probably can't take this much time to talk about it. But we're all really excited about it, and we can't wait to see, what it'll do, obviously helping us work together, but also just bringing you guys more and better Indiana content and a better and more full and rich community experience. So that's it. Really excited about it.
Andy, I think you and me and Coach have to get hats according to the way the rest of this panel looks right now. We're already splitting into hats and no hats in this camp. We got to find ways to come together a bit more.
We are at 3 distinct lengths of hair, though, between the 3 of us. So we are kind of like a beginning, middle, and end type scenario there. So I feel like that's good. We really
we're already tribing up. It's like Survivor. Wow.
Yeah,
I don't want to get voted out. I don't want to stay on the island.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys getting started in 2007, really playing the long game. And for us, we obviously wanted to wait right until, this IU football season to really join up with the preeminent IU football podcasters. So the timing just could not be better.
Could not be better.
We are bringing a solid dozen people that listen to the most recent football podcast at this point. Yeah, we're at our apex.
Last thing I want to mention, Megan says paperwork coming. Megan is in charge of all paperwork for the new network, so we appreciate having Megan on our side. And the other thing to mention too is, Tony Adrania is part of this as well, and bringing in his IU film room. Like, that's the kind of thing that we're looking to do, where it's like, hey, Tony is kind of building his own thing over here with IU film room, but look, that complements what we're doing. Let's bring this together, make it a more rich experience for everybody. So that's the kind of stuff that we want the network to do, and Tony is a part of it right along with us. So yeah. All right. Should we talk some basketball? That's why people are here.
Let's talk some basketball.
Yes. Andy's ready for basketball.
Well, I also have to finish writing up the 1 through 4 seeds for Inside the Hall tomorrow. So that much to my chagrin is not writing itself at this point. So
when do we get a bottoms bracketology shirt?
I don't know. No, I'll get my staff on that right away.
Well, speaking of hats,
I might have to
hats and assembly call hats.
I will say this, just to kind of bridge football to basketball. Not that anybody here was advocating for keeping Archie at the end of the year, but it is interesting being in a spot now. Like, just imagine if football is still where it's at, but the only variable change. Like, imagine if Archie was still the coach, just how depressing IU athletics would be versus where we are now, with kind of being excited for Woodson. Like, it is for the people who were at the time, be like, you can't fire Archie, you got to keep him. Like, imagine if football was doing what it did now, and we were still looking at this team with Archie. Like, it is great that we have Woodson, that at least we are now excited about basketball.
I don't know if this network happens if that's the case. Let's be honest.
That is not an exaggeration. Actually,
both podcasts might have folded by this point. Instead, here we are, and we're living in prosperity. I mean,
and by the way, guys,
I'd like to thank Scott Dolson personally for keeping us alive. Yes.
So we would add the Alabama network. Hey, roll Tide, baby.
So Crimson Cast started in 2007, and on Tuesday we start our 11th season of Assembly Call.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
insane.
Incredible.
It's funny too, because it's like this particular moment in time as we get into basketball. It's it felt like nobody listened to podcasts for years, and then like 3 or 4 years ago, it's like everybody flipped a switch and started listening. And I've always been impressed with Assembly Call and the dedicated people that listen after every game. I think that's always been such an awesome thing to observe and occasionally be a part of. And this is essentially now the second time that we've had a hard reset on IU basketball during like the prosperity era of podcasting.
Yeah.
And it feels more sustainable. I don't know about you guys, but living here in Bloomington, like the vibe is different now.
Totally different vibe.
Before. And I'm really excited to see when we plug this baby into the wall whether the lights come on. So, yeah.
I like everything about that.
There we go.
Starts on Tuesday, everybody.
That's right.
So,
all
what
right, are we ready?
Let's do it.
Time for some preview content?
Yes.
All right, let's go. We're going to talk right now about your biggest question that you're looking to have answered, or the biggest question you think this team has in trying to make it back to the tourney and being competitive in the Big Ten. Andy, we'll start with you. What's your biggest question about Indiana basketball as the season starts on Tuesday?
To me, it's we've beat this drum pretty hard over the last few years, but who can step up and make outside shots? I mean, you look back at I did this today, much to my dismay, but I mean, 3-point shooting percentage the last 4 years: 32.2, 31.2, 32.6, 32.4. All of them rank in the bottom half of college basketball. And we can be excited about all the guys that have come in that we think can help solve that problem, whether it's Parker Stewart or Miller Kopp or Tamar Bates, whoever it may be. We need to see it, because I think if they can't turn that around, it doesn't open up as many things for Trace. We've seen what it looks like if they don't turn that around. So that to me is the big question for sure.
Ryan?
I mean, Andy took shooting, and I think that's the obvious one. But I'm curious about the defense. I'm curious what the defense will be. It's no longer the pack line. So what is it going to look like? Is it going to be, an aggressive man-to-man? Are they going to do some full court pickups? Like how is Mike Woodson going to run his defense? We've gotten a lot of sort of platitudes about being aggressive and all of that stuff. We don't know really what he's going to run. And in the NBA, you change the way you run your defense pretty much every year based on your personnel. And so it's not always the same defense. I'm curious if he's going to create a system that his players have to adapt to, or he's going to try and adapt it to what he's got on the floor. And some coaches do a combination of both, but we really don't know what the defense is going to be. And I think it's going to be more of a, aggressive up on you defense, as opposed to sort of the lay back and just prevent drives defense that we've seen the last few years. But at the same time, if that's the case, you're going to create driving lanes and you're going to create openings, and how do you recover and all of that stuff. So I think I'll go with the defense. I'm really just curious to see how these pieces fit together. And also, to be fair, the defense probably won't look like what it's supposed to look like for quite a while, because there's so many new pieces, and a new system. So we may not get that answer Tuesday night, but I think that we'll start to sort of get an idea of what they're kind of going for as the season moves.
Ryan, you bring up an interesting thing. Illinois tried to play pressure defense, steals and everything, and just got driven like crazy. And then Underwood changed. That's something I want to see. What level of pressure can you guard the bounce? Can the guards, Kopp and Parker Stewart and Tamar Bates, we're all excited about their offense, but can they guard the bounce? Because if you can't guard the bounce in college, it creates rotation and 3-point shooters, post alley-oops, all kinds of stuff. So the ability to guard the bounce, I think, is really good. Jared, your biggest question for the Indiana basketball program?
Yeah, I mean, I want to echo what Andy said, and this is the one I've been thinking about a lot as the season gets closer, which is, is this team actually going to be more efficient from 3-point range? I think Indiana, regardless, I think Indiana is going to use the 3-point line better, because I think we'll take more. We have enough capable guys that I think will be able to get more points from the 3-point line and kind of be more of a threat to create space. But I think we spent so much time on this show, and rightfully so, talking about all the things that Armand Franklin and Al Durham couldn't do last year, that sometimes we forget about what they could do, which is shoot threes at a pretty good clip. And for a team that shot 32-point-something%, those two guys on 185 attempts shot greater than 40% combined. And there are no obvious guys to step in. Now, Parker Stewart does have a season where he hit 38%. We're hoping he's a guy that can do it. Miller Kopp has one season where he hit 39, but some other seasons where he fell down. And other than that, you're counting on guys like Xavier Johnson and Rob Finney and other guys who have not been great shooters. So I think theoretically, it all sounds good that the shooting will be better. And if I had to bet one way or the other, I do think we'll shoot better percentage-wise from 3. But I just think I want to try to be careful that it's not going to be quite as easy to replace what Armand and Al did from behind the line as we think. And so I think Indiana, even if they're 3-point shooting from a percentage wise is stagnant, I think we can still, be fine and have a floor of making the NCAA tournament because we'll get more points from transition and other ways. But for this team to actually hit its ceiling and get up into fifth, fourth, third in the Big Ten, they're going to need to shoot 35, 36, 37%. And I'm just not sold that we have the personnel to do that yet. I hope that, that's why it's a question. I hope that they prove me wrong, but I'm just trying to be cautious and remember that, the two guys who are leaving, they hit a pretty good clip with their threes.
Galen, the question you have about Indiana basketball.
I'm going to start at a different level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs for this team. You're all talking
okay,
about
Mr. Professor.
who's going to shoot better. Are they going to hit from three? The big question for this team is, will there be joy? Will there be self-esteem? Will they believe in themselves? Will they want to play basketball with each other? Because I got to tell you, I've watched this IU team for the last 6 years, and half the time they look like they'd rather be, at the hyper rather than being on the assembly hall floor. And I think in some cases they probably actually have wanted to be at the hyper instead. It has been a team that has played functionally good defense. They've been a top 50 defense the last 3 years. Practically speaking, it hasn't made that much of a difference because they haven't been able to shoot. Is that because they lack skill, or is it because they've lacked that level of self-esteem and verve that you need to play the game with joy? I think you look around at the teams that have played well in the NCAA tournament, the teams that have won conference championships across college basketball, and it's been teams that seem to like each other and seem to like playing basketball. And wow, that would be amazing to watch. And so for me, I look at the guys that are coming back and I look at the guys that are coming in, and it is a mixed group. I mean, this is the era of a lack of roster continuity. There's a lot of new pieces to plug in. A lot of people are going to be playing roles we're not used to. A lot of that is going to revolve around whether they have the self-confidence and whether they have a level of like or love with each other and with the coaching staff to be able to go and do it on a night in, night out basis. And so to me, that's the big thing. Can Mike Woodson bring that atmosphere, that attitude? Everything we've heard that the players have said so far this offseason, the things Trace Jackson Davis has said, the things we've heard from other players just about the overall atmosphere of the team, it sounds like a 180-degree difference. That's my big question, because we hear that sometimes and it doesn't pan out. If it pans out here, I think that this team has a much higher potential, a much higher ceiling than they would have otherwise.
And Scott's
going to go even lower on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do they have shelter?
That's right.
Will assembly hall will rafters not fall from the or will panels not fall from the rafters?
Will there be
they
a
have
training
food?
table? Yes, that's right.
Wow.
Didn't expect that line of humor tonight, but here we are.
No. Yeah. Check Maslow on your bingo card if you have that, please. What I would say is my Jared shot caller is going off, so I'm going to do some back home network synergy. This is something that he and I talked about on Crimson Cast a little bit ago. I'm excited to see an NBA style offense and how that looks. And specifically, I'm really focused on Trace Jackson Davis. And here is why, is that a lot of people are talking about, where Indiana can finish in the Big Ten. I think that's obviously important. Indiana making it to the tournament this year. Again, that's going to be awesome if we can get to the dance. But I think a real important and key thing is, can we get to a point and can Mike Woodson build an offense that gets Trace Jackson Davis drafted in the NBA? Because you got a guy who's an All-American. He came back not to go play in Germany or Greece or the NBDL. He came back to get better, to play in the NBA. And I think that if we can start playing an offense that shows his skills in a way that'll get him drafted, I think it's going to be a very big key chip that Mike Woodson can use for future recruits. And I will pose this question out. This is what I posed on Crimson Cast as well. We're at a point in a world where Trace Jackson Davis is one of our best players, who is a preseason All-American, who has attempted 0 3-point shots in his career in Indiana University. I watch a little bit of NBA. The 3-point shot, last I checked, is kind of important in the NBA. My question is this: which is going to happen first? Trace Jackson Davis both attempting and making a 3-point shot, or Indiana football winning a Big Ten game this year. My money is on Trace Jackson Davis getting it done in one of the first 2 games this year, but I open that up to the rest of my network family.
I agree.
100% agree.
Hey, he's got to be able to shoot the ball. So why not find some spots to let it fly? So I think you're right, because the other alternative with the football team is at least a couple weeks away, maybe at the earliest. I guess for me, a lot of questions you guys had, I have those same questions. I'm going to add rotation and minutes, and specifically what's going to happen with post depth with Michael Durr, hearing that he's been injured. How are they going to divvy that up so Race can play at his best without getting tired at the end of games or tired at the end of season? I mean, Trace Jackson Davis is what I meant. I thought he got tired at points inside games and throughout the season, and I think finding someone to eat some valuable minutes and to be able to come in when he is in foul trouble to not have a drop off, that 5 spot, that backup Duncombe, that's going to be a question that I would like to see. Any other thoughts on the questions for this program going forward before we take a break and then come back with some predictions? Anything else?
I think for me, the other one is what really happens with the point guard position. I think everybody is looking a great deal at Xavier Johnson getting the keys to the offense first, and I think that is what will happen and what makes sense. But how that gets divvied up between he and Rob Finney and Christian Lander over the course of the season, I think will be really interesting. That's been another huge challenge for this team in recent years in terms of getting into offense, getting the ball up the court fast enough, doing all those things, and just not really having a steady point guard since Yogi graduated. Can one of those guys really take the reins and latch on to that position and be able to be the guy in that role would be huge for the team and for the offense.
Yeah. One other thing from my vantage point, I want to see how Coach Woodson handles adversity within the game. Does he sit someone down? What's his use of timeouts? Is he a 2-foul automatic sit guy to annoy Jared? What kind of strategy what do they do coming out of timeouts? Those kinds of things are all important in wins and losses. So
Gerard is going to sour quickly on the Woodson era if he's the 2-foul auto bench guy. I feel like
we can do. Look at his look. We can do a whole segment.
He's so petrified. His video has frozen.
Yeah, his camera. Yeah, he's either incredibly angry at the notion of auto benching someone, or his video is frozen, or maybe both.
Look at that stare.
Can you hear me, or is my audio gone too?
We can hear you.
No, yeah, we can hear you. But
wow,
we can hear you.
I think that's a look.
That look, it expresses so many emotions at the same time. I can't even process it.
That look is the new logo of the network, by the way, folks.
There it is.
There it is. It's just
that look right there is the base level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
What is wrong with my video? It's like on a 10-second delay. This is ridiculous.
It's Coach's internet.
Did you update your internet today? Maybe it's gone there. But all right, coming up in our third segment, we'll right a mediocre wrong from last week, and then we'll continue with our season preview by issuing our bold predictions for the 2021-22 season. So stick around with us here on the Assembly Call.
What the hell is going on here?
Your video's back.
Yeah. Just in time.
Something's like all jacked up here. I don't know what's going on.
So, Galen, did you win the bet? I mean, so you got $10 for saying Maslow on a podcast? Was that?
I wish I'd made that bet. Gosh, we'll hit Young and Freud next time, depending on what happens in this Eastern Michigan game.
Yeah, kids love that. This is hot topics.
We're really connecting with the youth.
We can. If we can educate while entertaining, that's really the platonic ideal of the podcast, right?
Yeah, I got Kierkegaard next time. Sorry, hashtag Kierkegaard.
Hashtag,
Keep it for the kids.
That.
Let's compare this season to the voyage of the Kon-Tiki,
I'm gonna pop out and come back in. I'll be right back. I don't know what the.
I think he's just annoyed with our conversation.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Look, I know Melville isn't the easiest read,
The
guys.
network was fun. I had a good time with the network. It was fun while it lasted. We'll see you
That
guys in
lasted
11
long,
years.
huh?
He's on the phone with the lawyers right now. And
Guys, I need to get out of this.
I thought it was a good idea, but
He's got a
no.
couple.
How
other
easy is it to
podcasts
break
on,
a
on the
contract?
line, like, yeah.
As we wait, is he back yet?
How's the how are things in Bloomington, Galen? I miss it every day.
it's cold. It was 28 degrees this morning when I took
Oh
my daughter.
wow,
to the
that's
bus
early
stop.
for it
Yeah,
being that cold.
it was unwelcome. But it's beautiful because the leaves are still largely on the trees. So you're getting all of the the fall fireworks, but it's just you're wearing a coat while you're looking at them. So, but no, things are fine. It's been a weird semester for a lot of reasons, and I think students are ready to get home. And we still got a couple weeks left till Thanksgiving, but overall good. I mean, it's certainly much better than last year. So
Was last year just brutal?
yeah, I mean, last year was the less said about last year, the better. It was. I've been in higher ed for 15 years. It was by far the worst year I've ever had. So
Wow.
yeah, just didn't work.
Yeah. yeah. Yeah, that
All
it
right,
was funny.
gentlemen.
I was talking to somebody
ahead.
about this the other. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and it was it was like in the 50s here or something. And when you're used to it being warmer and it gets cold, it doesn't matter what the temperature is. When it drops by 20 degrees, it feels cold. And I was saying that in Bloomington, the first day it hit 50 in like March. Everybody's in shorts and flip flops and a t-shirt, and I was always like, "What are you people doing?"
Well, two things on that. 50 in March in Bloomington feels like 80.
It does, especially after a
50
winter.
in October feels like 35.
Yes, exactly.
And I feel you. Part of the problem is you live in a warm place, you lose your cold resistance.
When I go back and visit the Midwest, I freeze it when it's 40.
I lived in Miami for a little under 2 years, and I am just a complete wuss now when it comes to cold. Anyway, coach is getting irritated. Let's get back to the show. So
No, I'm fine.
He's still just mad about his internet.
Unbelievable.
All right, let's finish this show, boys. Let's finish it strong.
All right, here we go.
This is Ethan Happ, and I never listen to the assembly call, especially the episodes that Ryan is on.
Hello, everyone. I'm the coach, Brian Tonsoni, and it's good that Ethan Happ no longer listening because it's better to have Ryan back. So long, Ethan. May your Wisconsin Badgers fall to 11th in the Big Ten. That would be great. But it's segment 3, and now it's time for some questions. But last week we did have a mediocre question from Jay Horry after he was called out by Jared on Twitter, and then Jared forgot to add it to the run sheet. So we're going to correct that right now.
It's not that good, but it's not that bad. It's Jay's mediocre question.
All right. What's the one thing that's prevalent in the NBA game that you'd like to see Coach Woodson implement at Indiana? And also, what's the one thing another college team does that you'd like to see Woodson try with this IU roster? Ryan, you get first dibs. An NBA and a college thing that you'd like to see Woodson implement.
This is a trick question by Jay because the answer is the same, and it's something Indiana hasn't done in a long time. Weaponize the three-point line. They do it in the NBA. Some other colleges are starting to pick up on it. We've discussed it tonight, how it changes your efficiency as an offense. Weaponize the three-point line. Find guys who can do that moving forward. Not even just this year, but find guys who can do that moving forward. It's the way the game's moving. And at some point, there might be a swing back where there's back to the basket post guys are valuable because nobody has them or something like that. But right now, weaponize the 3-point line. That's what the NBA teams figured out. The Warriors did it. Now everybody does it, and NBA and college basketball teams are starting to do it as well. So that's what I think is the answer there.
Scott.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, that's the answer. I was going to say make 3-pointers. Like, shoot 3-pointers and make 3-pointers. I would love to see that. What's funny is when you go, I was just about to pull it up, the year that Woodson won the Atlantic in the NBA with the Knicks, they actually took, I think, the second most threes of any team that season. And when you look at the roster, it's not like, oh, they had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. It's like they had like J.R. Smith and, I mean, Carmelo, but it's like they had a team of guys who was not like who you'd expect to be.
Carmelo didn't shoot. Carmelo didn't shoot threes then either. Yeah.
Didn't they have Josh Smith? Or was that with the Knicks?
That was with
the
Hawks,
sorry.
I think
That
it was
was
J.R.
the Hawks. Josh Smith with the Hawks.
Yeah, it's J.R. Smith.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he'll always be part of the IU family, Jared. If that's
Always
what
part of
you're
the IU family.
Yeah,
I was trying to set up that joke, and I
IU grad Josh Smith. Him and
just wanted to shoehorn him in there. I could tell where you're going.
But no, it's shooting threes, making threes, and just having a modern offense. And for what, for other colleges I'd like to look at, it was funny in March when we were kind of shopping all these other teams. We're watching Alabama. It's like, oh, maybe Oates will be our coach. And it's like every other team that I watch, it's like, wow, I like their offense better than what we have now. And it was whether it was Alabama or Texas Tech or Baylor or, Musselman with Arkansas, like any other team, it's like, wow, doesn't really matter. I like so any of those offenses, like really just pick one, any of them. I like them better than what we had. But yeah, I mean, shooting threes is I think that's the answer to the question.
Galen.
Oh, Andy, if you want to go, please go ahead.
Oh, I'll go with something different for the NBA thing. And I don't know how this would work in college because I think the quarter structure allows for this a decent amount in the NBA. But the way that teams kind of have set groups that are playing together a little bit more, and the rotations are a little bit more planned out. Obviously, you have to be able to adapt to that at times, but I do think there's value in continuity of having guys on the court with similar groups of players more often, that they develop some chemistry and do that. The answer to the second question of what is one thing another college team does you'd like to see Woodson try, I would say win conference tournament games. I've heard that other people are doing that in my experience, but I would really like IU to try it.
And I've heard this. It might be a myth, but I've heard that the Big Ten tournament, now guys, stick with me. They play on Saturday and on Sunday. That like the teams stay in Indianapolis or Chicago, and like they actually play other games in the Big Ten tournament banner. I know it's weird. I swear, like I haven't seen Bigfoot, I don't see ghosts, but I've heard this rumor that you can play Big Ten tournament games on Saturday and Sunday.
I don't believe it.
I'll have to check Wikipedia on that because that's a bit wild. First, answer the first question. I'll go a little bit different direction than the other guys have and say manage roster turnover effectively from year to year. I mean, you've got short-term contracts, you got guys coming and leaving, you've got free agents leaving, you've got draft picks coming in the NBA. You've got a roster that's in flux all the time. And I feel like IU has struggled mightily over the last decade to really be able to manage the comings and goings of the roster. And so it's a little bit of a stretch, but Woodson dealing with that sort of thing consistently, I feel like he might be better prepared to handle this era of college basketball where you do have a lot more movement and you've got transfers and people coming in and out. And so I think he's going to need that rather than getting all wrapped up all the time in recruiting and what the recruiting rankings are and how you're comparing. You saw that with the Tamar Bates thing this summer where you plucked somebody else's recruit out because of X, Y, and Z that happened. So a little more flexibility there would be good. And as far as the other college thing, I mean, I guess the big thing I would say is it'd be nice to see IU look like a program that's playing with like having fun. And this is kind of tied into the self-confidence thing, but like I've seen other teams, much like Scott's mythical like Saturday and Sunday of the Big Ten tournament thing. I've seen other teams be fun to watch and like dunk the ball regularly on fast breaks and push tempo occasionally and shoot long shots. I feel like we might be able to integrate a little bit of entertainment into IU basketball and actually still win games at the same time. So that wacky, but let's try it.
But if you do that, then what are the old people at Assembly Hall going to do? And they can't yell, shoot it! Like, shoot it!
Well, if the team shoots fast enough,
I know it's crazy.
Then maybe their brains, it'll just take a while for them to catch up. I think it'll be actually awesome. It'd be cool to can you shoot like before the shot clock hits 15? Is that a possibility? Let's give that a try and see if perhaps it works.
Jared?
Yeah, everyone, real quick. It goes back to something that Ryan said, and it's be more versatile on defense and adapt your defense to the personnel instead of trying to stick square pegs into round holes. How many times do we have to see Joey Brunk trying to hedge a ball screen simply because that's what the defense called for, even if the personnel did not suggest that this was the best system to run? So being able to actually adapt your defense from season to season, personnel grouping to personnel grouping, because you have some solid principles, but then you can switch and you can do some things. I would love to see that. And in terms of what I'd like to see other colleges do, Illinois has beaten Purdue 3 times in the last 2 years. Let's try that.
For me, I'm going basketball nerd. I'd like to see how he's going to guard the ball screens. The NBA does some 3-man switching on the backside of ball screen coverages where they leave the 4-man in to take a roll, and so the perimeters can rotate more towards the 3-point shooter. It gets old seeing that pick and roll and the guard stays inside and people are scrambling out to the 3. Golden State has done that in the past. Woodson is renowned for coming up with new ball screen defenses when he was in the NBA. So I'd like to see him bring that to IU. And again, everything that everyone else has said, score more points, play at a pace that's collegiate, entertaining, fun to watch, and that's just college basketball, I think. So it's time now, though, for our bold predictions. And you can go any direction you want. You can go individual, you can go team, but make it bold. And Scott, we'll come to you first. What's your bold prediction for this year's Hoosiers?
I think that's a great question. I think that they're going to make the NCAA tournament, which, it sounds funny.
That's it?
But dude, we haven't made it in 5 years. So
yeah,
I
was going to say week, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
It does qualify.
That's relatively bold. I think we're going to have multiple sellouts at Assembly Hall. I think Assembly Hall is going to be a really tough place to play. I haven't done the full season breakdown, but I can see us getting a couple of scalps at Assembly Hall. I was going to try and pick a team I had just closed down. But yeah, I think Trace Jackson Davis will get drafted in the first round. And I think that we're going to make the NCAA tournament, which I know doesn't sound bold, but we haven't done it in 5 years. So, I was listening to something else, another pod, sorry. But, no one on this roster has played an NCAA tournament game, which is just kind of mind-boggling. But it is like those are the realities when you don't make the tournament for 4 years. So that's unfortunately a very sad bold one. But I'll go bolder next year and say we'll win the Big Ten. And I think we'll win the Big Ten in 3 years. There you go.
Wow.
Galen, your bold prediction.
Double bye Big Ten tournament.
Whoa.
There you go. You heard it here first.
This keeps getting better.
As I look at this conference, I think Indiana still has some selling to do, but there's some teams that are way overrated in this conference right now. Like people are picking Illinois 3rd. Illinois, I think, will finish 8th in the conference this year. That team just screams overrated as hell. This is where it all falls apart. 2/3 of Brad Underwood's staff is coaching for John Calipari right now. There's some real distinct issues there. And then you look at the other teams that IU has to overcome. If you take, the rankings, Michigan State was not good last year by any stretch of the imagination, and they just lost their best assistant coach. Maybe, but Maryland. Have we learned nothing about Mark Turgeon in however many years he's been coaching at Maryland? Why would you put your trust in that gentleman? And then
you're talking coach's language now. You're going after Turgeon.
And
if you throw some darts at Greg Gard and Fran McCaffrey, coach is going to drive down there and give you a hug.
That's my shit list.
We don't have to throw darts at Greg Gard because he's already kneecapped himself with his awful recruiting the last 3 years. So they're going to finish 11th
Guys, if you knew the text that Coach sends us about some of these Big Ten coaches, you would look at him completely differently.
By the way, side note, Coach cursed on the network before I did. Just
That's true. That'll win bar bets someday.
All I'll say is if you take those 3 teams out, okay, I think Michigan's probably going to win the league, or Purdue. I think those 2 are clearly the class of the league right now. And then Ohio State, I think, is probably a top 4 team. And outside of that, I think it's a big mix. And if it comes together for IU and they have a nice long runway to get into the Big Ten season, if they hit the ground running this year, I don't think it's unreasonable for them to finish 14-6 in conference. And I think that would be enough for the 4 seed. So there you go.
Wow.
Ryan.
That's bold.
That was
That's
awesome.
Bold.
That is bold.
All right. This is going to be very bold, but I've been waiting several years to do this. Race Thompson makes an all Big Ten team.
Woo! Okay.
I think he's going to have a sort of Draymond Green type season where the numbers aren't overwhelming, but everyone who plays Indiana knows they just played against Race Thompson. I think that the people around the league will respect him as much as any player on IU. Bold enough? I think that was pretty bold.
That's pretty bold. That was pretty bold.
Andy.
Yeah, I struggled to come up with one. I'm going to go with Jordan Geronimo, Big Ten 6-Man of the Year.
Whoa. Okay.
I think to go back to some of the stuff we talked about, hearing from the scrimmage, like energy guy, if he can come and hit, a 3 a game, get a couple putbacks. I mean, those guys who have won that over the years, it's not like they're putting up gaudy numbers, but I think if he becomes an energy guy, get some rebounds, can be versatile, can be a solid defender, in what we hope is an up-tempo offense, I think that suits him well. So I'll go with that.
Wow.
Jared, your bold prediction for the Hoosiers.
My bold prediction is that Parker Stewart is this team's second leading scorer and makes honorable mention all Big Ten.
I don't want to step on you. I almost went with that exact same prediction. I think you're right.
Yeah, I haven't been quite sure what to expect from him because he hasn't played for a year. But man, seeing him shoot at Hoosier Hysteria and, kind of hearing how he played in the scrimmage, he's just got such a pure jump shot that we haven't seen in a while. And we know the volume on 3-pointers is going to go up. And so I don't know what percentage he's going to shoot, but this is a guy who has succeeded in 2 completely different offensive roles. He was a catch and shoot guy at Pitt as a freshman in a loaded conference and did really well. And then he went to Tennessee Martin and became the on the ball guy creating shots. And so I think when you look at what he does offensively and you start kind of fitting lineups around, he's a guy that really slides in easily at the 2 or 3 spot. And it's really hard to make lineups that don't include him. And I think if he shoots like I think he's going to shoot, it's going to be really hard to take him off the court because you need a guy that has his skills. And so I think he's going to get the minutes. And I just think he'll be – now I think, that may be like 11 or 12 points per game. I mean, I think we're going to have a whole lot of guys kind of in that range. But I think he'll be the most consistent secondary scorer because of his ability to make shots.
And I will add this, that Indiana makes tournament between the seeds of 5 and 10 and makes the Sweet 16. I think things get rolling halfway through the season. They're going to get top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They're going to play on Saturday. They're going to have some momentum, and they're going to have to play really well on that second round as the 6 seed playing the 3 or 7 playing the 2. 5-4 game, whatever. But my bold prediction and high ceiling for Indiana is a Sweet 16. We're due. So let's just have it all in year 1. Why not?
Okay.
So, all right.
Nice.
Real quick, around the horn question here. Fans are back in Assembly Hall. What does that mean? It's 2 years ago, everything ended with no tournament. We've had some struggles. Then last year we had basketball, but it wasn't the atmosphere that we had. What are you guys looking forward to with Assembly Hall being full? And we'll end the show on a rapid fire question there. Galen, going to you. A full Assembly Hall. What's that mean?
Loud moments and bad popcorn.
Andy.
I'm just excited to be able to, hear the crowd in some of these games. I think the enthusiasm is incredibly high. So you're going to have people. I mean, people are just waiting to explode with excitement for this team, and I think, first few games they should be able to get off to a really good start, and just being able to have some of these guys who have come really feel the support of the crowd that they didn't get the chance to get last year.
Scott.
I'll kind of go back. I didn't go bold enough. Obviously, you guys are killing it. I think what it means is we're going to have 13 or 14 wins going into that home game against Purdue and Michigan on the 20th and the 23rd. And I think we split those games. We might even get both of them based on Assembly Hall crowds.
All right. Galen. I already went to Galen. I think on the Ryan.
I'll change it up. I think it'll be loud moments and good popcorn.
All right, very good.
We all know that.
I kind of thought you wanted to go back.
Is that a bold? That could have been your bold prediction that there's better popcorn in Assembly Hall this year. You know what it means to me? What a full Assembly Hall means to me is energy on the court, in the stands. Like there's nothing that can match that. And I always talk about the Killingsworth game, but there were so many games I went to in high school, in college, that were just had so much energy, and it's a weird vibe that echoes through the arena when that place is buzzing. It's unlike anywhere else. I've covered games in huge arenas. I've gone to games at huge football stadiums, whatever. There's nothing like a big game at Assembly Hall, and the noise and the energy, and it almost has. I always say sound has feel. When that place is loud and when there's an energy there, you can feel it, vibrating in that place. So a full Assembly Hall, that's what it means to me. There's just an energy there, and it boosts the players on the floor. They always talk about it, and the opponents feel it because they always talk about it. So there's just something different when that place is packed, and it's a shame. Even before COVID, when it wouldn't be packed, when the team wasn't playing well, you could just tell. You could tell without seeing the crowd. You could tell by what was going on the floor. That there was something wrong, and being back to being full and being full of fans that really care and are engaged. That's what Indiana needs. That's the lifeblood of the program, and it needs to be back.
You couldn't do this joke without it would never work, but it would be funny if right before the game they turn the lights out to do the intro video, and it's like they just start playing the U2 where the streets have no names, and just see how long you could go before they do the record. Just kidding.
Before people start rioting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared, Assembly Hall full of fans.
First of all, I recommend everybody read Zach Osterman's recent piece in the Indianapolis Star. I know Zach is on cloud 9 after his Atlanta Braves winning, but he's really just going full on romantic about sports these days. And the piece that he wrote about Assembly Hall is awesome. And there's a line in there from one of, if not the greatest Hoosiers of all time, that really sums it up to me, which is the great Calbert Chaney, who said, basically said, when he used to play there, it was basically they felt like they started out with 10 points. And I would like to go back to that, where you kind of feel like every game in Assembly Hall, we basically have a 10-point advantage and let's go win it. And it really felt like that eroded over the years. And there were games that we didn't come out and play well, and games that we would be ahead and give it up, and kind of lost some of that, that luster that it had and just that confidence that you had. And I think if anybody knows what that means, it's Mike Woodson. I think he's going to take a lot of pride in it. And I think we're going to see some of that come back to where even if we're not that great, we still expect to win when we're playing at home. That's what we got to get back to. I don't know if we get back there this year, but maybe we do. And that'd be great because that's what it should be.
To me, it's about memories. There's a lot of good memories for all of us in that place, a lot of good success. Tomorrow, Coach Knight will be back in there. He's been back in a couple times for practice. He built that place Saturday. Just erase me from this whole show tonight. But I'm batting below the Mendoza line today. So that's it.
We're done. No more
questions. Well, what's that?
I said it's a Greg Gard-like performance by you.
Oh,
so.
That's really bad. Thanks.
That's not fair, Coach. You were nowhere near as bad as Greg Gard.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Assembly Call. If you want to see us do the show live, join us at assemblycall.com on Thursday nights for the live broadcast of our Assembly Call radio recording. Special thanks to Bob Thompson, who's in a lot of the music that you hear on the show, and thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again next week or sooner if any news breaks. Until then,
take it from me, Yogi Ferrell. Keep your elbows in and your eyes on the rim. And go Hoosiers.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Hey, the show's over. Here I come, Coach Tonsoni.
I don't like carrots.
Okay.
Well, this
nice
was
job,
fun,
gentlemen.
family.
This was fun.
All right.
This was fun.
That was fun for you.
By the way,
your internet didn't break out and you didn't call people at the wrong time. And
oh,
happens to us all,
man.
Coach.
It does.
It does. Okay. Games next week. I'm excited.
Yeah, who's on that one?
I'm going. I've got the
Nice.
tickets for that. So
where are you sitting?
I moved seats. I'm in J34 this year. So moved about 6 rows or 7 rows up, but moved over to the middle. So it's we'll see how that goes. But
Nice.
A 6 o'clock game. Tough when I get out of work at 5 and have to go do a kid pickup and drop off. But we'll
Tough
figure it
when
out.
I'll be working at 3.
Well,
so.
there's other time zones you could move to. You know,
It's true. I certainly could. I may have to. The rent
Yeah.
here is ridiculous. So
You can go to Hawaii. So I'm fired up this year. I moved down. I moved over to Section F, so I'm on the side, but I am in the front row of Section F. So I'm excited for that.
How'd you do that? Who'd you give money to?
The varsity club. Just
Oh.
they take checks, they take credit cards. I'm not paying for trips to Hawaii anymore. No, it's like it was weird. There was just 2 random
Because you
seats
can't.
down there. Yeah, I know. There's 2 random seats down there. So we'll see when we get there. It may just be, there might be a piece of ceiling in front of me or something. Who knows what's wrong with the seats? But yeah.
My favorite part about the new season is the budding chat rivalry between Ryan and Kathy.
It's
After
good.
Ryan called
It's
out
good.
Iowa, and now Kathy is basically telling you that no one feels sorry for you, Ryan.
It's good.
This is happening this year, and I'm excited about it.
Starting off on the right foot, getting a rivalry and some anger brewing. Gotta love
That's right. Like I've had my thing with Joel all off season. Now you get your thing with Kathy. We need some good chat mob host, tension. Makes for
it does.
Makes
It
for
ma-
good
it
makes for good content.
Rounds the show out.
Jonathan Taylor. Woo!
He and Michael Pittman tonight, man. Jeez.
Man, it's nuts.
Pittman was the most underrated player in that draft class, and they are so lucky to have him. He was a great pick.
I was at the Titans game this week, and he looked real good. I wish Carson Wentz had looked as good, but he did not. This is going to be an interesting start to the season. I don't. It feels like I think they'll win the first 3 games, but it's like a deceptively harder start to the season because it's like MAC team, Big East team. I mean, that's not a traditional entry point into the season. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes.
I will say, based on the research that I did on just looking at how different people rank conferences as part of the bracketology, they are the 2 worst MAC teams. So there is that.
There is that, yes. But
well, let's also be fair that nobody knows anything before the season. So we all try and act like we do, but I mean, who knows?
I know that Illinois is going to be disappointing, and Galen does too. And I
actually agree with that. People forget how much Io meant to that team. How many games did he win by himself?
Why everybody's so bullish on Illinois and forgetting
Because
how
they
much
got Kofi
Io
Coburn
carried
back.
them.
That's
why. Kofi's great, but Io is Io. It just feels disrespectful to him.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, but they're seeing like Kofi Coburn is back, so therefore they're going to be good, and they got a couple other guys back. But no, the Io thing is crazy. How many games did he take over the last 3 minutes of a game and win for them?
As
over the last
coach, because he was the president of the Io fan club.
Yeah. I mean, that guy was nails down the stretch.
And you look at the roster, I mean, they have, they've got 4 seniors on the roster. But I mean, they're all like 3 of them are under 6'3".
Yeah.
And I'm just having a hard time seeing anybody really like the 2 best players aren't seniors. So I don't know how well like that's really going to go for them. I mean,
And the two best players can't shoot either.
Right. Yes. That also is not great for basketball, as we know.
Well,
As we know. We are experts on
we
this.
know well.
Well, and one of the things that really is going to hurt them in the long run was losing Miller. I mean, I know he got hurt at LSU, but like losing him long term, that's a big loss. That dude could play, and he wasn't amazing last year, but you watch him in high school, he could play. He's also, it's hard for anyone else to shine next to Io because Io just dominated games, but that's a guy that like he could have shined this year, and they lost.
They're going to be like the Michigan or Michigan State of football this year. But you look at their schedule; they play garbage. Like they played Notre Dame, and that's about it. Arizona. I mean, like their schedule is like Crean is like, why couldn't I get this schedule? Jackson State, Arkansas State, Marquette, Cincinnati,
the rotting husk of Arizona.
Yeah,
UT Rio Grande Valley. Like not UT Rio Grande's not good enough. We got to get the Valley School.
Holy
guard
crap,
play.
Georgia
That's what I'll
preseason
tell
KenPom
you.
is.
I think their guards are pretty good. Illinois compared to question marks up and down the Big Ten about guards. I just think Cubello is going to be a very special player. I think Frazier as a veteran player.
They do have Frazier.
Frazier.
They have Frazier, and then the third guard Williams is really good too.
They're
He's a
counting
glue
on
guy.
Frazier, Williams, and whoever they play at the 4 to be able to make shots and spread people out. If they do that, they'll be pretty good. If they don't,
My hard take is that I'm still confident that the Big Ten sat Illinois down and all the announcers is like, his name is Coburn. We cannot be saying Cockburn for an entire season, but the guy's name is Kofi Cockburn.
That's.
I mean, I don't think Illinois is going to be terrible. Like, I think they're a top 25 team. I just don't think they're like top 10 level, Final Four level.
Jared, what were you saying about Georgia? What were you saying about Georgia?
Can't. Georgia's 159th KenPom preseason.
They are not every single thing that I looked at picks them last in the SEC. Like every single thing that I saw.
I didn't realize they were going to be that bad.
He lost a ton of guys to transfer. Color me shocked, you and everybody else. And then one of the only good players they had, or one of the better players they had returning, got hurt, and I think is out. So yeah, they are expected to be not good.
Bad.
Boy. So, by the way, the last thing that I want to mention for all those of you who are in the
just to dig in on that a little more. Torvik's got Georgia at 204 coming into the season, which so
that feels like that has to be the lowest major conference team. Well, I don't know where Cal is, but that.
Gosh.
Let me see if there's you keep talking. I'm going to see if there's anybody worse in the power.
I'm not
conference.
sure there would be.
Does Crean just have Does he have a different football player come in at every game at halftime to talk to the crowd just to get fans in the stands? Like, hey, we're going to have the backup lineman tonight coming in to get an award during halftime.
Iowa State comes in at 190, which is not worse than 204.
There's nobody that I see scrolling through unless I'm totally missing it.
I guess we'll count the Big East as a power conference. I mean, they are rated the worst power conference team coming into the season on Torvik. So that's
I can't wait for the narrative of Georgia can't get anybody better than Crean, so you're not allowed to fire Tom Crean. Like, I can't wait for that narrative to come at the end of the season.
Well, he's always done better with underdog teams, so maybe they'll outperform expectations. They
can outperform by 100 points or 100 spots. They'd still be 104th.
Yeah.
13th in the conference.
Oh, God.
So the other thing I want to say, for those of you who are in the community, make sure you join the Discord. We'll have a live chat going during the Michigan football game. I don't know how much fun that'll be, but at least we can be there together. And then we'll be spending, obviously, I mean, folks get on Twitter and we'll still be tweeting out during the games. But I think using Discord for the live chats will be a lot of fun. It was really good during the last football game, and so I think it'll be a fun way to enjoy games together.
We have not maybe we are going to. Scott, let me know. Are we going to completely rule out doing a post-game show after the Michigan game immediately?
Ooh.
Do we want to take back Sunday?
We can try. I'm driving back from Fort Wayne. So maybe. Depends on when we get home.
I mean, nothing.
Are you sure you want to do a post-game show for that game?
Yeah. Well,
we can do it now. Just hey,
No,
you
they're
guys
new.
we'll do it now,
Yeah,
real quick.
I like what you guys are doing with the last one. You're just trying to get it out of the way so that you can enjoy your
let's,
Sunday.
let's try it now.
I respect
mean,
that.
I thought McCulley, had a couple good reads, but by the third pick in the second quarter, I felt like that was a tough spot, and it was just once you get to 38-6, it's tough.
We would
the
never.
Penalty showed a real lack of discipline. That throw that one in there. Yeah, what
just
else?
soundboard this, Jared. I'm gonna give you some lines. Jared can just soundboard our post.
I'll just do it.
Gail, I'll text you. Like I could probably bang that out, and I might be on the phone, but yeah, we could. Let's just get our Sunday back. I like that.
We'll figure it out. All right. Well, if we do that, we'll drop it in the Discord. We'll let everybody know. You guys can join in as you want, but
all two of you.
Yes, all two of you.
Yeah, Kathy says she's going to a movie. Jeff's got
That's better.
things happening. Yeah,
I don't know what movie it is. It's better. Schindler's List sounds great. It's gonna be way more fun.
Wasn't there an episode of Seinfeld that was about this?
On that note, yeah.
Yes. All right, everybody. Well, we
All
got
right.
a network. This is fun.
Thank you to our guests who are now our partners.
Yeah.
That's right.
Woo.
That's right.
Glad to have you.
Be on the lookout. There'll be more announcements coming.
Can't wait for
us first.
Yes. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Coach, how you doing?
I'm pissed. I take those seriously, man. I was worried about the internet, so I wanted to jack it up a little bit, and then the first night I have it jacked up a little bit, my stuff was spotty.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had kind of the same thing because my wife and I are both working from home together, so we wanted to increase the internet because when we moved to our new house, AT&T doesn't have fiber, which we had before, so we've got this crappy cable from Spectrum, and so I upgraded to like the 1 gig. And for weeks, we haven't been getting it. And I've been trying to figure out, I've had Spectrum people over. I finally got it figured out this week, but it has been such a pain in the neck back and forth. So I feel your frustration because, man, it is so annoying having to deal with that.
Yeah, and I probably have to, I think we're still broadcasting here. I didn't hit the end of broadcast, but